Good morning, everybody. My name is Barry Schwartz, and this is the Search Buzz video recap. Today is Friday, May 13th, and this is the search news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable at seroundtable.com over the past week. All right, we got a lot to discuss. The Google Mother's Day update, search algorithm update, unconfirmed, bunch of stuff from Google I/O, a lot of stuff. Google's digital marketing course gets even worse that we discussed last week, so you want to hear that news. Some new Google ad formats, new Google Search Console stuff, and so much more. So definitely stay tuned. A lot to discuss. And of course, I'd like to thank our sponsor. Thank you, SEMrush, their beloved SEO platform that so many of you guys use and depend on. Please check them out at semrush.com, semrush.com. Okay, first up, we had this Google search ranking update, unconfirmed. A lot of volatility, a lot of people talking about it. It's kind of started like Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday it really spiked, and then even through Monday and a little bit trickling out through that. So it's kind of like starting early on May 6th, but really, really spiking on Mother's Day on May 8th, which is Mother's Day in the US, just to be clear. And it really, really got a lot of attention, a lot of SEO chatter, a lot of tracking tools, so massive spikes on that day. So if you did see some type of update then, Google did not confirm it. I kind of hinted asking, can you confirm it? They didn't respond. But Google doesn't confirm all these updates, and it may have been an update that may have impacted you. So definitely take a look at that again. May 8th was the big spike, and the tracking tools are definitely showing changes there. So like I discussed, there was a lot of stuff that happened out of Google I/O. A lot to discuss. I'll try to do it really, really fast, and I'll try to only cover the most important search-related stuff. I did a long blog post, which is really short because I really summarized everything search-related using tweets actually from Google I/O. On May 12th, I posted this. If you really want to catch up quickly and just see what happened, definitely take a look at that blog post. The most important things that I saw were around what's called multi-search. We discussed this probably a month or so ago, where you could use images and text to search at the same time. Google's actually bringing that feature to local, where you could search near me. So now you can search for take a picture of a dish and say near me, and it might show you restaurants that have that dish near you. There's also something called scene exploration, where you can actually scan a bunch of stuff with your Google Lens camera, and it will stitch it all together and overlay stuff around that. Google has new immersive views in Google Maps. Google's gonna go ahead and let you do some skin tone related Google search images with actual schema added to that, which is pretty cool. Google released My Ad Center, which lets you control your ad privacy policies and stuff like that for users. Google Translated gained 24 new languages. Google Lens is super popular. It is used a lot, and it should be used even more. Google Assistant is going to get more natural by just talking to it a different way. A couple weeks ago or a month or so ago, Google released a way to remove your personal information from Google Search. Google's now going to give you an actual tool in the Google Search app to do that. The Google About This results feature, which has been around for a while, now is going to actually be part of the Google app when you actually visit websites, which could be a little bit annoying because Google's going to pop up and give you about this result when you're on a website. But Google's it's used so many times. It was used 1.6 billion times. But if you think about how many searches there are per day, it's really not used that much. And Google even showed us the future of AR, kind of like a Google Glass, but much more subtle. So definitely take a look at that. A lot of things to discuss. So if you missed it, I have it all summed up on May 12th at seroundtable.com. Google's digital marketing course, which we discussed last week, where they give free certification to some people who apply. I think it's US-based only. We discussed a week ago or so that they're giving SEO advice in that piece of course, where basically SEOs are going to be like, well, I'm certified now by Google for SEO, when it's really just a digital marketing course. Well, it gets worse. On Monday, somebody took the course and actually posted screenshots of the SEO advice. And the SEO advice specifically was giving keyword density types of advice and word count advice. And that's something that Google has said numerous times for the past decade plus. Do not worry about keyword density. Do not focus on that. Do not worry about word count. We don't care about that. It's not an SEO thing. So then Danny Sullivan caught wind of it. He's like, I'll escalate it. And then the next day, Google actually removed that from the coursework. It keeps getting better with this digital course. And we told you this would blow up in their faces, and it did. Sad to see, but again, they probably should never have actually offered SEO advice or coursework in any type of certification work. Truth is, anybody who does certification work or any type of coursework, there's going to be somebody who finds something that's wrong with it. So We kind of saw this coming and it's not a big deal. Google also released in Google Search Console this week, or yesterday, this morning, a new search appearance filter called translated results. Google had a help document about this last November where Google actually could go ahead and translate the search result in certain countries like India, certain languages and so forth. Specifically, I think only on mobile, where they'll translate the title link and some of the content in the snippets, and when they click on it, they'll actually use Google Translate to automatically translate your web page. Now, Google's showing you in Google Search Console a way to see who's actually getting that, what they searched for, what pages they landed on, which language it was, which countries they were, and what dates they actually did that, which is pretty cool. This is spotted by Brody Clark. Also, Google at I/O announced that there's a new Search Console feature under indexing, on the indexing section called the Video Page Indexing Report. And this is basically going to show you more information around how Google's discovering, crawling, indexing your videos with more debugging tools. So you actually can debug that information and submit fixes to Google. So I don't know when this is coming out, but Google announced this in a Google I/O session yesterday, and it's pretty cool to see Google adding more reports, specifically around video, which has really become really popular over the years. Google's added a troubleshooting document to the title linked help documentation, which basically give you some more information around how to troubleshoot your title links. They had this before. It wasn't called troubleshooting. I think it was called like the common issues, and now it's called like troubleshooting. And they added one more specific piece of information there, which is called no clear main headline, which helps you troubleshoot that specific thing. And Google also added a brand new help document called new valid page metadata. And this basically will show you, how Google can handle, invalid metadata, which it does handle for the most part, but it does tell you where it tells you not to use invalid elements, specifically in the head, such as iframes, images, and other HTML elements in the head. It could have caused issues. So definitely keep a look at that document because you don't want to mess up there specifically. Google now also added another support document for education Q&A structured data. It seems like a new structured data that Google's supporting around education Q&A. It's similar to the STEM education-related guidelines that we posted about several months ago, but this is a new help document called Education Q&A Structured Data, which basically could be used in two types of scenarios. One is for flashcard pages and one for a single Q&A. And Google's basically saying for flashcard pages, a page that contains flashcards that typically have a question on one side and an answer on the other side. To mark up flashcard pages, continue reading these guidelines. If you want the single Q&A, definitely look at the Q&A markup. And then basically goes through how to do this. So if you are using flashcards, definitely take a look at this help document. It's super useful. Google is also allowing FAQ schema on pages that are not necessarily list views. You can actually have this FAQ schema markup not on a list view, but also on a page that has it on different places on the page. John Mueller said there's nothing in the guidelines that prevent that, so feel free to give it a try and see what happens. A Google Search Console may stop collecting data after a period of time of inactivity. Specifically, John Mueller said that it will stop collecting data in Google Search Console if your site becomes unverified or you unverify your website, but also if Google notices that you're not logging in ever. I don't know exactly how long that takes, but that's something to keep in mind. Google's product reviews update, we got a little bit more information from Alan Kent, who has a great one-liner around what you should be thinking about when it comes to writing product reviews content. He basically said, and I'll quote him, does the review contribute new information to the body of knowledge about that product? And basically that's a way of thinking about it. Does that piece of content actually add to the body of knowledge of that product beyond what other people are saying? Kind of hard to do, but that's something you should think about. This is pretty cool. Google is testing a new ad format with a really large image that you can actually swipe through. It's like an image carousel, embeddable kind of spotlight thing. Here's a screenshot of a GIF of it actually in action, which is very cool. And this was spotted again by Said at K. Google has launched new guidelines around virtual brand foods and delivery-only businesses. Specifically, like if you've ever seen like the MrBeast Burger. So now Google's allowing for that. So even though MrBeast Burger doesn't really operate in any specific location, they just have stores stick on labels on their burgers and ship it out with their bag. Google's allowing them, people who are searching for those virtual brands and virtual food brands, to actually show up in the Google local results. And you can see Google has that specifically the new guidelines and allowing it and in certain situations. And if you do a search for those MrBeast Burgers, you'll actually see them come up in the local results now, which is pretty cool. Google Maps is asking users to answer prompts around answer this question. It's basically a new search carousel called Answer This Question in the Google Maps results. So it's prompting you to answer those questions. It's around the Q&A around Google Maps, which is very popular. Google Search had added a popular destination carousel, which directly leads to the travel search results, which is another cool feature. Microsoft Bing is testing interesting reads, which is pretty cool as well. And with that, we actually spotted that Microsoft's also not testing, but launched top-rated tutors. And if you look at this, it's actually something that links directly to a Microsoft-owned property called TakeLessons, which basically helps tutors find clients and helps people who need like help with guitar lessons or piano lessons or whatever, makeup and beauty lessons, help them find tutors to help them, which is pretty cool. But again, it's Microsoft brand TakeLessons. Also, Microsoft's Bing Wikipedia box now scrolls as you hover over it, which is pretty cool. The Bing C results 4 on the left-hand side is now showing up there as well, which is pretty cool. Something that shocked a lot of users this week is that Google Analytics, the Universal Analytics 3, now has changed where it said real-time results right now, where it used to say right now, now it shows in the last 5 minutes, which is always how it's been. The metrics haven't changed. Google's Universal Analytics 3 real-time reports always showed the last 5 minutes, but because Google Analytics 4 shows in the last 30 minutes, Google wanted people to understand that the real-time results for Universal Analytics is 5 minutes, and the Google Analytics 4 real-time results is 30 minutes. Fun news this week, Mark Cuban was upset with Google that it was showing fake Shark Tank endorsements in the Google search results. Danny Sullivan was aware of it. He said it'll escalate it, but it was interesting to see Mark Cuban complain about Google. And finally, Mihai went ahead and posted a recap of the Google Search Central Unconference, which happened a week ago or so. And if you want to catch up on that, there's a great recap from Mihai. Thank you, Mihai, for doing that. Any event, thank you so much for listening to the Search Buzz video recap. My name again is Barry Schwartz, and this is the search news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable at seroundtable.com over the past week. I tried to do this really, really fast. There was a lot of news, especially with I.O. Hopefully this is a good format. If you want me to go super long, I don't know if I could do that. I don't have time, but hopefully you enjoy this. And if you do like this, definitely comment below, hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that bell to be notified when this comes out. Really, really appreciate everybody listening. And of course, thanks SEMrush for sponsoring. Definitely take a look at them at semrush.com. Bye-bye.